What's up? What's up? Welcome, 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 everyone. Thank you all for joining. To everyone who has joined, um, it's great to see you guys back here again. Sorry I had to push the live stream back a little bit. I was in um in a little situation where I had to get a couple things done really quickly, and so I didn't want to miss the stream and cancel it, but I also, had a couple important things to do, so I wanted to make sure that I got them done. Um, Now tonight's stream, increase your FICO score fast. All right, so tonight what we're talking about is the quickest ways for you to increase your FICO score, the quickest ways for you to bring up your credit score, and um, in turn, the quickest ways for you to build credit. So, if you are, new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to, share these videos out with other people. Try and get some more people in the live stream, as well as don't hesitate to ask questions if you're live and in the stream. All right. Um, I don't want anybody to feel as though, um, you're not a part of the stream, or you can't ask questions, because no question is a dumb question, um, except for the question that goes unasked. So, let's go ahead tonight and just kind of, um, get straight into tonight's topic and get talking about it, so that we can get in and out rather quickly. So, tonight, the first thing that I wanted to talk about, um, when it comes to increasing your FICO score and increasing your FICO score quickly, um, is when you want to increase your FICO score, it's extremely important that you take the time out to realize what a FICO score is and what it's based off of. All right. A lot of us are, not completely sure what a FICO score is or what our FICO score is based off of. And therefore, when it's time to talk about our credit scores, we're kind of unsure or uneasy, and we don't know exactly what we should be doing to raise our credit score, or we may be doing the right things, but we feel like we're not getting the results that we want fast enough in order to build our credit score. So, one of the main things that I like to talk about, and the first thing that I always like to talk about, is knowing what your FICO score is before you begin to try to build up your FICO score. So your FICO score is the score that the majority of banks use for lending. It is your, to your credit score, and it's made by the Fair Isaac Corporation. That's why it's called the FICO score. All FICO is a scoring model that they use the information on your credit report to create a number to compare your credit worthiness, or your responsibility to other people's. So that's really all it is it's a number that they use so that they can compare your responsibility financially to other people's responsibility financially. So, do you pay your bills? If you're paying your bills, are you paying those bills on time? How many bills do you have? How many bills do you have in relation to how much money you make, how much you spend in relation to how much you make? So your FICO score is just a number that's basically determining how responsible you are financially. So, now in that number, there's different factors that you have to understand. Let's see, tonight we have Go Crystal in the stream. I just wanted to say, hey, thank you for joining. If you're not subscribed, make sure that you subscribe, and please share this stream out. I'm going to start doing all my live streams over here on this channel instead of on my other channel, because I want to build up some watch time on this channel, as well as grow this channel. This is going to be the primary base for all of my credit videos moving forward. So, if you're coming over from my other channel, This is where I'm going to be putting all my finance videos and everything moving forward. So once again, thank you, and hey, and welcome to the stream. Um, but basically, once again, that FICO number, that's all that it is that responsibility number. So we have to understand how it's broken down and what parts it's broken into. So of course you have payment history. Do you pay your bills on time? And if you do pay them late, how late do you pay them? Are you paying them 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late? Are you waiting for them to go into collection before you pay them? If they go to collections, are you paying them? Are your bills being charged off? Are you just leaving collections on your credit report? What are you doing with your credit report? That is how your FICO score is, broken down in that particular category. Now, when they break down that particular category, um, on how you're spending and how your money is being spent, it's very important that you realize that your money, yes, it's being spent um to pay your bills, but is it being spent correctly? Are you doing everything correctly, or are you doing things incorrectly? That's one of the main factors and one of the most important things to look at when you're building up your credit report. Now, the next thing you want to look at is your um your utilization. Now, your utilization on your credit report is important, but it's not as important as your credit history, but it's right there just in being just as nearly just as important. So your utilization is how much of your card you're using in comparison to um, how much of a limit you have. So it's recommended um, by FICO that you stay under 30%. I recommend that you stay under 10% of your card. So what does that mean? If your card is $100 card, 30% would be $30. You multiply that number times 0.3, and that's the maximum that you should have on your card on the statement date. The minimum that you should have on your card, of course, is zero. I recommend trying to keep it somewhere between 0 and 10%, which would be 0 and 0.1. So all you have to do to find that number is multiply your card's limit by 0.1 for 10% or 0.3 for 30%. And that's going to give you your number for how much your card should be on your statement date. Now, granted, that does not mean you can't spend more than that on your card. That just means that on your statement date, which is typically about 3 days after your due date, it will vary based upon your card issuer. On your statement date is when you should have that card paid down. And when you have that card paid down, that card could be zero on the statement date, but the day after it could be 20,000. It doesn't affect you as long as it's paid down on your statement date. Now we got a quick question, so I'm going to go ahead and jump over here and um see what we got. So Go Crystal says, I'm negative a few hundred with one of my Navy Federal accounts. How much will that affect my internal scoring, and how long will it take to get the score good enough to apply for their credit cards? So as far as being negative on one of your Navy Federal accounts, just for future reference, I always recommend the clock. I actually have a video coming up on the clock, which is CLOC, checking line of credit. Um, and when you have the checking line of credit, it doesn't hinder you if your account goes into the negative, because it just comes out of your checking line of credit, and that's used as your overdraft protection, and you don't get overdrafts or anything like that. Now, as far as it affecting your internal score, it will have an impact on your internal score. However, it does not um it does not have any impact necessarily on your FICO score, your credit score. It may have minimal impact on your internal score. It's kind of hard to determine how much it will um impact your internal score because it has those little um nuances there. Now the next piece. So we have Oh, and how long will it take to get the score good enough to apply for their credit cards? Personally, I recommend waiting about 4 months after having a Navy Federal account before applying for any of their cards. That seasons you up a good enough amount. The longer that you wait, the longer that the higher that your chances will be for approval, because the longer that they see that you're going to continue banking with them and having transactions running through their accounts, the more apt that they are to give you a credit card. Just as well as if you get a secured card initially, you can always get that card unsecured and then apply for credit line increases. Go Crystal said this is for personal and business. Um, Yeah, business is different with them. They go more off of your business and how likely you are to make the money back in your business and stuff like that versus going as much off of consumer reports. Crystal says, and thank you for the welcoming. You're welcome. You're welcome. Consumer report does not include transactions and experiences between the consumer and the person making the report. I just get the utilization removed off my credit report. Yeah, see, that is a possibility and it's something that you can do. Um, but remember some of these tactics that those of us who are more seasoned and experienced in credit know, they're not as understood by people who are newer to the game. So this video is more for people who are newer and learning. Um, they're not going to be at the point where they are, understanding those different things per se to remove utilization or, dispute things on their own and do different things. There's going to be certain things that they're not going to um, understand as well until they go and watch those individual videos where I break that stuff down. So, when we're, live streaming, questions are always going to be answered, but of course, certain questions are going to be more complex and, they're not going to pertain to everyone because then you got some people who are new to credit who don't even have utilization. So, with explaining the breakdown to them and saying, hey, don't run it up, that's giving them a better guideline to start out than them ending up in a situation where they would need to know how to get rid of their utilization or hide it or stuff like that. Then I have videos on different ways that you can do that. So that's kind of that. Let's see. Go Crystal says after 4 months after being in the negative. I would recommend as far as after being in the negative, probably waiting a couple months, maybe 2 or 3 months. I always say 4 months from the onset of opening an account with them, because when you open an account with them, you let that account sit um for 4 months. What you're doing is you're allowing it to season and get a little bit of age, and you're guaranteeing that you're at least 3 months out from having an account open, which is going to give you a higher chance. Every quarter gives you a higher um, chance and a higher opportunity at boosting that internal score. So kind of go back. So we only really got Go Crystal talking. What's going on with the other people out in the stream? Come on, you guys. What do you got going on? I'm not hearing anything. Let's see. So the other thing, of course, is derogatory marks. And this is what most people are watching this video that are going to have problem with derogatory marks, collections, um, liens, bankruptcies, charge-offs, judgments, any of that stuff. So derogatory marks, how do we handle those things? Derogatory marks, we're going to handle, by disputing, so that, so with as far as disputing, you want to be able to dispute off anything on your credit that is in that negative section. Certain types of bills are going to be easier to get disputed off, such as hospital bills and medical bills and things of that nature. Certain things may be harder. You just have certain agencies that like to be rougher. One thing you have to understand is anything in that derogatory section, there's a way to get it off. There's a way to dispute it off. Now, if you're running into a lot of trouble, you can always go for a pay to delete or settle to delete. Personally, I don't recommend, paying collections unless you're in a situation where you truthfully can't get them disputed off and you're trying to make a large purchase like a home or something like that. And in those cases, then I say, okay, go ahead. Um, excuse me, if you have that timeline and get it paid off, make it happen quickly, and then keep moving from there because you reset the timeline of that collection anytime that you pay it. And then you're also verifying the debt if you pay it. So that's why I always recommend try and dispute stuff first. And then if you really can't do it on your own, then you can look at those other options to settle or pay out. But typically, if you're going to go that route, go for a settle to delete. That's going to be your go to because it's going to have you pay the least amount of money as well as get the collection deleted off of your report and make sure that you have that in writing if you're going that route. Now, the next thing, of course, is my apologies. The next thing, of course, is your credit age. So, how long you've had your credit. So, the longer that you've had credit, the longer your average age of accounts will be, and the higher your average, excuse, the higher your average age of accounts is, the higher your credit score will be. So, when you see people, and they're in the high sevens and they're going towards an 800 credit score. One of the biggest things that separates people from the high sevens and the eights is typically credit age because you cannot accelerate your credit age with any other way than getting an authorized user trade line. That's the only way that you can really raise your credit age. Other than that, it's just opening accounts and letting them get old. That's the only thing that you can really do there. There's nothing different that you can do. So, it's really just about opening those accounts and letting them get old. Now, the next thing is going to be your total accounts. So, total accounts is just how many accounts you have. So, I always recommend people when they're starting off their credit to get multiple accounts, especially once you're able to get past that secured credit and, um, get onto um, let's see, regular um just a regular credit card, go and apply for a few of them. Go and apply for a few loans and keep those accounts open. By having those open, you'll have that time span that'll definitely help you out. So, just for me personally, like I said, that's something that I always recommend is opening up a few of them, letting them get older, and you're going to be building your credit age at the same time that you're building your credit, your total number of accounts open. So, just giving out a few tips here before we really get into the quick tips that are going to get you there faster and where you want to be. Um, Now the next thing, and going into the last credit factor is going to be your credit inquiries. All credit inquiries is how many times you've applied for credit. So, excuse me. What I always recommend is if you're applying for credit, right? You're applying for credit. You want to make sure that when you're applying for credit, you're applying for the accounts that you need and that you're going to get approved for. So, what I recommend is if you're applying for accounts, take the time out to pre qualify, take the time out to pay attention to what's on your credit report, take the time out to pay attention to um, what other people are posting, and what data points they have when they're getting approved for cards. You don't want to start applying for a bunch of cards out there, and the cards are, um, and the cards are not for you. If you are, someone who's repairing your credit and you've got 5 derogatories on your credit report, your, chances for getting a American Express Platinum are slim to none. So you need to start using those tricks to increase your score and repair your score before you start applying for cards. Because then you go and you say, okay, I'm going to apply for an American Express, I'm going to apply for a Chase, I'm going to apply for a Discover, and you apply for all 3 of these cards and they get denied, and then now you have all these credit inquiries. If you're someone who's purchasing a car, making a large purchase or something like that, do it within the time span. Don't wait it out. I always recommend pre-qualifying with your credit union or your bank or whoever before you even go to purchase. So that way you've already got your interest rates and everything set up and you're ready, boom, and you don't have to worry about, um, any of those issues that you could potentially have. So once again, with credit inquiries, you want to avoid getting inquiries at all costs. You want to keep yourself away from getting credit inquiries, because the more credit inquiries that you end up with, the harder it's going to be for you to get other approvals. And that's kind of the bad part about starting out your credit, is that if you start your credit out poorly and then you rack up a bunch of inquiries, it's going to be extremely hard for you to get past that and start getting approvals. And I've seen that happen with so many people where they just go out and they apply. And now you've got 20 inquiries and banks are just instantly denying you for credit sinking. Every time you apply for something, they say, "Oh, you have too many inquiries, so that's why we're denying you." So you just want to keep that, in the back of your mind. Now, we get back to the comments. I see we got Go Crystal again. Said, I tell my kids to apply, and as soon as they get the card in the mail, to send the company a letter stating the no utilization law right at the beginning. Just giving a little hot sauce. Yeah, and that's a good idea and a good recommendation. However, like I said, for some people, especially people rebuilding, it is good for them to have that utilization and see it there, um, just so as they're building their credit, they get an understanding of utilization and how it actually works. Even if they use that later on towards when they're applying for stuff, but you want to make sure that the um, you want to make sure that when you're getting into credit, that the person that is getting the card understands these processes, because you don't want them to get the card, go swipe it up, think that there's no nothing that's gonna no repercussions or consequences of doing these things, and then now they're stuck in a position where they've messed themselves up worse because they've delayed, they've delayed the results, and by the time that they hit, it's too far. Now you've got a collection account and it's going in a charge off and things like that. Because the majority of our younger people, that's kind of what we see with college students. They're almost set up because banks say, hey, we will give you a card, you can use your parents income, you don't have to show us any proof of income anyway. We're really just kind of going off your word. And because you're a student, we're going to lower our requirements so that you can get approved for it. And then they get approved, they go swipe up the card, and then now they're kind of in a stuck situation. So that's why I just like to, teach it from a ethical perspective of them understanding what they're actually doing throughout the process. Now, how are you going to increase your FICO score fast? What are you going to do? One of the things that you're going to do is just get a knowledge of disputing and the dispute process and what's on your credit report. All right. So if you know what's on your credit report, you can automatically just start disputing things. You can use some of those quick dispute methods. You could purchase dispute letters. You could utilize some of the ones on the internet. But the basic concept is you're going to figure out how to dispute the stuff that's on your report. If you have anything negative on there, that would be my first thing. Is okay, anything on there negative, I'm going to dispute it. So whether that's my utilization, whether that's my collections, whatever it is, I'm going to find out how I can dispute whatever is negative or holding me back on my report in order for me to move my report forward. Now, The next thing that you want to do to increase your score quickly is look at what secured products are available to you and what are the cheapest products that are primaries that will boost your profile. So check out, certain products like Kickoff. Grain used to be a good one. However, they've started charging people now. Go Credit, the Navy Federal Secured Loan Hack, just secured loans with any credit union or bank or anyone. Look into some of those options. Some of those options will kind of give you a head start because, say you've got a card and your card has got, you know, um, $11,000 on it, right? Um, and you swiped 10 out of that 11,000. It may be better for you to take that last thousand as a cash advance, and open up a few secured accounts and then, put that money back and have those accounts with 0% utilization or have those accounts where you can get those secured loans quickly and then pay them right back and be building up additional lines so that you're building credit quickly and you're increasing your score and the foundation of your score. You're building that credit age, you're building those accounts, you're building that payment history, you're boosting up those high performing areas on your report. And if you're doing it with secured loans, a lot of credit unions do not give you hard inquiries for secured loans. So you're getting by with opening new accounts, aging these accounts, and any secured not having any increase for these secured accounts. The next thing that you want to really look into is your payment history. And if you're having trouble paying, call the banks up and say, "Hey, I'm unable to pay. Can we put this off? Can we put this payment off, for 30 days without any penalty? Or can we defer it for 90 days? Can I make a smaller payment? Hey, I can't afford $75. I got $25. What can we do? What can we do to avoid my account going into the negative? The longer that you can avoid negative and avoid missed payments, the better off that you're going to be. All right. Capital One is one of the biggest banks, and Discover as well. Discover will drop your interest rate from 30% to 0%. Now, in certain cases, they will freeze your card, but if they drop your interest rate 30% and say, "Hey, we're dropping your interest rate until you pay us back, and we're going to give you more affordable monthly payments and no interest," you can't beat it. So you have to take advantage of what's out there, and call your issuers and communicate with them if you want to increase your score quickly. By communicating with them, you're going to find out all those things that are out there and all those advantages to you. So now that you know what's available to you from your issuers, it's going to allow you to go a lot further in the credit game. The next thing that you have to do to increase your score quickly is monitor your score regularly. If you're monitoring your score and you can see what's going on with your accounts, you can see what you need to fix quickly. And by catching those things that need to be fixed quickly, it's going to allow you to get a lot further, a lot quicker, and just ultimately build up your credit score a lot faster than you would be able to otherwise. So I always recommend that build up your credit score as quickly as possible by monitoring it and by utilizing simple tools that we've used our whole time in our credit journey. And for some of us we may have been able to get a student card or get something else and not had to get secure cards, whereas others may have had to get secure cards. So now you're relearning those steps, but by learning those steps is going to allow you to make it a lot further on your journey and get there to where you want to be a lot quicker. Now, another thing that you need to do to increase your FICO score quickly, right? If you want to increase your score quickly, you have to begin to you have to begin to realize what your poor financial habits are that are causing your FICO score to drop. All right. So if your score is dropping and you see your score dropping, what is it that's causing you this problem? Are you overspending? Are you making poor investments? What is it ultimately that's causing your score to decrease? And you need to do the opposite of that. So if you realize that you're overspending and you're buying too much, now you need to budget and start cutting out things. You have to, in order to turn something around, you have to be able to change and be diverse. That's one of the most important things. Really quickly, I see that we just had some new people pop in. I want to say, welcome and thank you guys for joining. Hopefully, you guys can go ahead and subscribe and become a part of the family. Um, you know, and we thank you as always for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Drop them down in the comment section. I always will pull off and kind of sidebar and answer those questions for you as you guys drop them out there. Tonight's stream's not going to be as long as a typical stream unless you guys start asking questions. Because this was just kind of something I wanted to pop in and give a little bit of information on. Um, However, typically, streams are about an hour long. So I just want to kind of really get out here and say, if you want these, if you want to increase your score quickly, you just really have to educate yourself and begin to look inside yourself and say, what am I doing poorly? How can I play the game the opposite way? Right? Just as well as how can I build while I'm moving the other way. So instead of me going out and spending extra money here and there, now I'm going to pay down some of the stuff I've already purchased. Instead of me going out and getting a bunch of random accounts and opening up store cards and this and that, maybe I open up some secured accounts. Maybe I sit down and I plan and make a strategy of how I'm going to choose my accounts and my spending and all that stuff. That's got to be your process when you're deciphering what you're going to do to increase your score. But as always, just wanted to say thank you to you guys for tuning in. Thank you to you guys for being here and for watching and for supporting the channel. Like I said, I'm going to try and be on here more often, be on here live more often. If you're into, finance and credit topics, make sure that you come over here and check out this channel, because this channel is going to be where I'm doing all those style videos from now on. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love you guys. Thank you for being a part of the family, and we'll see you in the next one.